everyone. Welcome to another episode of Girls That Game, our monthly podcast where we talk about the games we love to play, our streaming experience, and everything in between. I'm AlteredCalyx. To the right is the amazing featuringFlewt, and together we are Girls That Game. Hello. Woo!
Hi, Calyx.
Hello, Flewt. How you been?
I've been really good. Still super busy, but having a great time, honestly, at the moment. You know, life's
Awesome.
moving forwards. The games are fun.
Yes.
And I'm looking forward to hearing about Final Fantasy 14.
Yes, it's been going good. What about how's your
Yeah?
Guild Wars 2? You're still playing that, right?
I am. I've been playing the absolute heck out of it still.
Okay, so
Um,
let's continue with that because I had just watched our last episode and you were talking about you have not got into rating yet. You started fractals. Let's see what this progression is. Like walk us through this. What's
Okay.
happening?
Okay. Oh, no. Okay, well, this is going to sound really bad.
Uh-huh.
We tried raiding.
Mm-hmm.
We tried a raid.
Mm-hmm.
And we got absolutely stomped at the first boss.
Oh, how'd you find the
Like-
raid? Like, did you go into a pre-made? Did you go into just like a raid finder? Like, how did you?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think it's fair for me to preface this by saying that I have a pretty regular group of people I get to play with.
Okay, yes.
Because I play with Hemi, and he has a pretty enduring little group of people who have followed him from MMO to MMO.
Mm-hmm.
I say group of people, group of friends.
Yeah. Yes.
I am lucky enough to kind of be absorbed into that. So they've all come over to Guild Wars, which is wonderful. And every Friday, we've actually got a regular little group thing. And so I was
Excellent.
like,
How
man, I
fun.
really want to do raids.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, guys, this Friday I want to try a raid. So yeah, we got a group of people in. Now, to be fair, we didn't start with the full group of 10. So in Guild Wars 2, a raid group is 10 players.
Mm.
We started with, I think, 7 or 8, and we went, we will post to the looking for group section of Guild Wars,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll try to get a few more people in. But in the meantime, like, we might as well start, right?
Right. Yes.
Such a mistake.
Oh,
my
gosh.
goodness.
Oh gosh.
We all went in completely blind.
Okay. I was gonna ask
Um,
about that. Yes. Blind progging. Yes.
So, yeah, so we weren't following a guide or anything, except that we had looked up that this particular raid was like one of the easier ones. And I don't even think there were ads to fight before the first boss. We just glided over into the boss arena, landed, and I think literally within 2 seconds of us landing, about 3 people were dead and on the floor.
Oh my god.
So,
Oh.
so we chickened out of that raid real quick.
Got you.
Yeah, and we haven't really tried since. I do still want to try. It's clearly, and something I've experienced with Guild Wars in general, is that its group content
Mm-hmm.
feels more hardcore than I'm used to from MMOs.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it feels like you need to go in, you need to be knowing what your build does, you need to be knowing what each role the people in your team have.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, and you probably need to already have some guide or something up if it's your first time.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the 5-man dungeons that, again, I'm lucky enough to run with a regular group who can communicate.
Mm-hmm.
Those are tough. You can't just turn your brain off and like face roll through.
Yeah.
They're really tough.
Keeps
And
you on your
sometimes
toes,
it's
yeah.
like frustrating. Yeah, it really keeps you on your toes. So not complaining, but it's definitely been a bit of a shake-up where I'm used to just going into a dungeon and being like, as long as I press my buttons right, you know,
Yes.
we're probably fine.
Mm-hmm.
it's really like, okay, everyone needs to know exactly what we're doing.
Exactly. Unless though, like you
Yeah.
said, you have a group of friends, maybe you can get away with blind progging, because everyone is understanding, right? But
Mm.
I agree with your sentiment. Like these days, I feel like people expect you to read a guide, people expect you to know your rotation, and it's like, but can I just try it one time, like blind progging, because I want to experience it, right? I don't, I
Yeah.
don't want to have to go outside the game and be like, okay, I need to watch a video on this. I need to watch, I need to read the, whole research document on like, how to play my character. It's like, I want to be able to just play, and then if I hit a roadblock, yeah, maybe I need to do more research, but I want to experience it, firsthand what it's like, So I
Hmm.
hope you're able to, because you have, friends who you play with regularly, that, you can like, experience it for the first time without being like, okay, guys, let's get hardcore right from the start and look up everything, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. And I definitely prefer that of
Mm-hmm.
just jump in and try to figure it out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It has not felt like we can do that with Guild Wars. I don't know if that's
Mm.
a positive or a negative. Some days I'm like, yeah, I'm up for the challenge. And some days
Yes.
I'm like, "Ugh, really? This is too much effort.
I need to go read something.
Yeah. But on that topic,
Mhm.
how's the Final Fantasy XIV expansion been going?
It has been going great. I
Yeah?
personally, I see a lot of chatter on like Twitter and stuff. People, it's like mixed feelings about, people don't like the story, people don't like certain character, like actually the main character, Wukulmat, and all this, and it's kind of like, I try to not to, read too much, because I don't want spoilers, right? So I've been
Mm.
kind of in my own bubble. So I thought the story was fine. It's not their best story. My favorite is still Shadowbringers,
Mm.
but it was
Mm-hmm.
still good. Nothing like, I don't know, the main character, the voice actor I didn't feel detracted. So I don't know. There seems to be mixed reviews. I thought it was good. Like I said, it's not the best, but I thought it was still good. The biggest
Yeah.
change was, and I know you experienced it too, the graphics updates, and
Yes.
everything looks amazing. Like I really would like caught my attention with metal armors. Like it just popped. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so much detail. It looks amazing.
They
Right? I
look
know. Look at
so
your face. Like yeah, right?
sparkly.
Exactly. I was like, what?
Yes.
And then the zoomed in like on their faces, the NPCs. Before it used to look like the hair was like crimped, or something. Now it's all
Mm.
smooth. So yeah, it's like it's such a nice change. It's like it's really great. Hubby first,
Very good.
yeah, hubby first noticed the aetherites, the
Oh,
teleportation things.
yeah.
Those were, he
Hmm.
said, like really detailed. I didn't notice that first, but I guess different people, things jump out, more than other people. So yeah, for me it was the metal
Hmm.
armors. For him it was like the details in the game. So I don't know how, if you were able to check, like dip in and see what it looked like for your character.
I was, and I was so pleased because
Mm,
I do think my dragon girl, the
mm,
aura
mhm,
race,
mhm.
I do think she looked a little different, but I also think she looked great. Um, like you said, like the harsh polygons are
Mhm.
gone from the hair. Her
Yes.
face looks smooth and
Mhm.
like glowing in a way in the light. Um, and the scales look so much better than they used to. They used to
Look
look
at
like
them.
clunky, weird growths, and now they look like scales, and it's so
Yes, nice.
good.
Yes, all the details are popping. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So that
Did you
was
notice your character felt different or looked different?
well, I always thought my girl looked cute. So it's like she's a little Mikote, the cat girl.
Oh,
So she was
yeah.
always, I felt cute, but I mean, maybe she
Mm.
looks cuter. I don't know, but her armor is a lot nicer, right? So that's what I noticed. That's what I
Very
liked. Yeah.
good.
Um,
Excellent.
yeah, so
And
and then go on.
do you think it has done a good job of doing a restart in a way?
That's one thing I am not sure of right now, and I feel like, and that's the part where I'm like, the story's not great because it is kind of maybe the restart. One of the big things
Mm.
is our character is no longer like, you know, the main attraction. The story doesn't revolve around us. We're like support
Oh.
to Wuklama. We're on a journey following her. It's, you know, she has to win some kind of competition. So, in that sense, people were upset, I guess, about that. And my take is I would prefer if the story revolved around me. Like I want, to be center stage and everything. But I'm okay with
Mm.
it being like this if it is a reset and maybe this expansion is like a bridge or a gap, like to do some world building or whatever to set us up for the next expansion. But I hope next
Gotcha.
expansion we're back to being, center stage, people follow us and we're, you know, I don't know. I prefer it, I guess, if I had to pick, to be the main character type of thing, the story revolving around me. But other than
Mm.
that, it's, I'm still okay with it how it is now. The pacing I felt was a little off. I just felt like
Oh.
different writers were writing parts of
Yeah.
it and then they just kind of mashed it together. And I felt like there was lots of fluff. Stuff that could have been
Mm.
like side quests were dumped into the MSQ. So here we are doing fetch quests. And I'm like, really? I'm the warrior of light, and we just saved the star, and you want me to go fetch that? It's kind of like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
what's going
I
on?
understand.
Yeah, exactly. But evidently, it's still doing good though, because Yoshi P was saying, his quote was saying, "With your support, we were able to reach a record number of concurrent users we've not seen since the release of A Realm Reborn in 2013." So yeah,
Wow.
it sounds like it's going really great, and it's
That's so cool.
and honestly, with how many people are playing them, it's been the smoothest expansion launch I've ever been a part of in any game. You know what I mean? So the
Wow.
queues were short. I didn't encounter any like bugs or hiccups or anything for the launch, like, trying to log in. The longest wait I think I had was like maybe 20 minutes on the first Saturday that it, after it launched or whatever. But other than that, no, every other day was like only a couple minutes. So it was really great. So
That's so good.
yeah.
And I guess then, as we were talking about last episode, their staggered kind of early access
Mm-hmm.
must have worked.
I think so. They definitely improved upon it because I didn't do launch of Endwalker, but I had a friend who did it, and he said it was so bad. It was like so many
Mm.
hiccups, so many like logging in problems, and then if you got if something happened to the login and you got kicked out of the queue, you had to start all over again, and so you were thrown to the back of the queue, and the queues were like hours. I don't know. The way he was making it sound like it was so horrible. So this was really smooth, I would have to say.
That's
They
so
definitely learned,
good.
yeah. And then the other thing I
Yeah.
thought was so great was they allowed like even small streamers like me, to be part of Twitch drops. So people could earn
Oh,
mounts
nice.
if they watch X number of hours and stuff. So I was like, oh, that's so nice, look, and now anybody can be part of this. Whereas before you had to be part of like a curated list of content creators, and it's usually big name content creators, right, that you could only
Mm.
if you wanted to get Twitch drops. But nope, they allowed anybody. So I don't know what the criteria was. Maybe you probably
Yay.
obviously have to own the game and connect it and stuff, but yeah, they allowed it. So I thought that was good. um
That is nice.
yeah.
Speaking of,
Mm-hmm.
we were having a conundrum last time as well about streaming MMOs.
Mm-hmm.
So this has clearly been your MMO month.
Yes, it
How's
has
it
been.
been to stream it?
Streaming the MSQ I thought was fine because it has a purpose, and I'm following along the story and everything. But I just finished the MSQ a couple days ago, like earlier in the week. So it's kind of like,
Congrats!
yes. So I'm really happy with that. But then now is the grind, right? Now I'm chain running the expert dungeons to gear up. I'm hoping to do the harder content. So it's not quite the raid. The raid's not released yet, but it's called Extreme. So it's like just the one boss, but it's pretty challenging.
Mm-hmm.
It's a step up, and there's like gear checks, and the mount drops from there, so it's kind of a big deal. And I just feel like that's our next step, and I'm not ready for it. I didn't read up anything on it, but like I said, I'm hoping to blind prog it. Hubby plays, I play, and we have a couple other friends who are playing, so I'm hoping we can fill in the group. It's only 8-person, their group the raid content stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can find just like 4 more people to fill it in, it'll be fine. But So I'm not. So this is where I'm not sure. I felt like it was kind of boring. Like yesterday's stream, I was just like, I'm just chain running dungeons. Is that fun? I mean, I find it fun because I'm like, okay, I'm trying to learn the mechanics and everything. I need it like by brute force method. I have to keep doing it over and over to like get in my head. Like, okay, this is what happens, and I got to move here. I got to do this. I got to do that. Um, but I don't know how viewers would feel, and my viewer count was a little bit low, but I'm hoping once we do like the harder content, like the extremes and raids, then maybe it'll pick up because maybe people want to see,
Mm.
how it's done. But yeah, I still don't know. I just figured I just keep streaming it, but I don't know if I should maybe focus it up more. Like one day I'll be like, okay, let's do PvP or what, or something. I don't know if I need to
Mm.
focus it up or just do what I'm doing. I'm still deciding, but I
Yeah.
can't really focus up too much because I got MMO brain right now and I just want to play the game, It's like
Yes. We were just talking
yes.
before the episode started about
Hmm.
having MMO brain and
Hmm.
just, being totally consumed by it.
Yes,
Um,
exactly. Like it's not
so in
even
that,
current content. Like for some reason, I don't know if because we haven't played MMO in so long, but hubby and I were just like we're having so much fun just playing in Final Fantasy that a lot of times we weren't even doing current content. Like he's busy leveling up other jobs. Like he's working on his third level
ooh,
100. I'm working on crafting and my crafters and gatherers who can't even craft or gather current content. It's like previous expansions,
yes.
So it's like we're just
Mhm.
so consumed by it. It's like okay, I just need one more couple more tokens to buy this gear, or I just need to turn in a couple more things to level up my crafter. It's like I can't really function outside the game right now. It's just like I have MMO on the brain. That's all I want to do. I have like other stuff that, content that I'm supposed to be doing. It's on the back burner for right now. So it's like I
Yes.
turn into a different person when MMO comes out, when I'm into an MMO. And I don't know if you feel the same way too, if it just takes over, but maybe to a certain
I
degree.
I absolutely understand, and that's probably come through with like the last 2 episodes of me being Guild Wars 2.
Yay! I'm joining
And
you now. Yeah. Yay!
I was still totally into it because there's so much to pursue. Like you said, even outside of main story, um, there was a big sale on a bunch of Guild Wars 2 expansions and Living World seasons.
Hmm.
For those who don't know, Guild Wars 2 had a bit of an interesting release style in that they would have an expansion and then they'd have these living world stories that were supposed to kind of change the world in some kind of
Mm.
way.
Okay.
And those living worlds were not technically expansions. So if you're looking at Steam, you can't buy them there. But they are the intermediary content between expansions.
Hmm.
So and we didn't know that going in. So when we went in to it, we were like, we'll buy the expansions. Yay,
Hmm.
exciting. I've bought them all now, especially the sale. I bought the final
Of
ones.
course.
But then it's like, oh, but there's story and content and maps and achievements in these living world stories in between that I really want, but you have to buy them.
Okay.
So this was a great chance, big sale, bought those Living World seasons.
Gotta love
And
those sales. It's like,
yes,
yes, I love them too. Yeah.
exactly. So good. And so now it's like, okay, we can continue the story. But I've been totally sidetracked by, like you said, just other content in the
Mhm.
game, achievements to get stuff. I've learned how much achievements can unlock you in the game. Starting to chase styles and cool armor and cool
Oh.
gizmos and gadgets that make
Mhm.
life easier.
Mhm.
So I think that's part of the MMO brain rot is
Yes.
there's always something to be pursuing.
Mhm.
And
Especially
so
yeah,
it
if
feels
you
like
haven't
this,
been if you haven't been like playing it, year on end, and you're playing catch up, then you have like a whole bunch. It's like it's all new. It's great content, and everything. So yeah, you got lots to explore, right?
Exactly. And you said something earlier that I thought was really interesting, that Final Fantasy is seeing its highest peak concurrent players
Mm-hmm.
since release or something.
Yeah.
And Guild Wars recently put out a statement.
Oh.
It was kind of a Q&A thing, and some, person out there was like, well, what are you going to do about Guild Wars dying? And the dev response was, actually, we're at our highest concurrent players at the moment.
Wow. That's great.
Which, I mean, yeah, I'd love to see what the actual numbers on that are, but I thought that was really fascinating and really cool to see that these great MMOs are still seeing success. I don't know what that says to the state of new MMOs.
I know,
I think
right?
they're just kind of terrible.
Yeah, they
But
can't keep up.
they really can't.
Mm-mm.
But I think it also speaks to games like Final Fantasy and Guild Wars having good quality, enormous amounts of content for people to sink into.
Yes, enormous
so cool.
amounts. Exactly. So are you still enjoying the story? Are you still going through the story in Guild Wars 2 and stuff?
We are, yes.
Okay, cool.
It has, like I said, been very much not delayed. I'm still very keen on the story. But because everyone we're playing with has different little things to pursue, it's been sidetracked. I'm blanking on the correct word. It's been put off a little bit.
Yeah, the story part. Yeah, I hear you. So you guys, but that's great because then it sounds like you still have a lot to do like outside of the story that you guys are trying to achieve. That's awesome.
And then in like a month, the new expansion's coming out. It's exciting. And I can't believe I'm still so much in its grip.
Exactly. That's MMO brain for you. Like brain, I like that term that was coined, MMO brain rot. Like it's like, seriously, it's like now I know how I am personally, right? Now that I'm like you said, in its grip, I'm gonna be playing Final Fantasy, I'm sure, for the next month, probably. I even knew this going in, so for when I resubbed, I put in like, yeah, give me a 90-day, 3-month subscription. I was like, I know I'm gonna be playing this for a while. Yeah, I knew ahead of time. So I was like, yeah, give me that discount because I know I'll be playing for 3 months for sure. So,
No,
but
I
there's
like
always
that you know yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
That's good.
So, yeah, the MMO brain rot is real. Like I said, I just want to play the game. I'll even log in early in the morning. I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna do a couple dailies and then I'll log off. But it's like I gotta actively try to keep myself away. It's like get off the computer. It's like.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So since we're both playing MMOs, I thought we could talk about like MMO centric like topics and stuff.
I'd love that.
Yeah, awesome. Starting with like, what brings you joy in an MMO? Like, since it's MMO, but are you still story focused? Do you love the dungeons, raids, collecting shinies, doing achievements? I mean, you've already mentioned like some of those things that you're doing, but like, tell me, what brings you joy playing an MMO versus like, I guess, a regular game? Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess in that, like, what makes an MMO enjoyable for you? For me, it has to be fashion. If an MMO doesn't have good fashion, like, what am I doing there? What am I working towards? It doesn't matter. I'm not going to look good.
Gotta look good doing it.
Yes. So anything that kind of rewards styles, mounts, pretty skins, that will almost always be able to motivate me in an MMO. But it definitely also has to have a story I'm somewhat interested in, or at least that makes me feel like participating in this world is worthwhile. And I love MMOs, specifically the MMO nature of playing with other people, because I enjoy being a specific role in a group and solving combat through that. So I'm saying that very generically, but for me specifically, I usually enjoy playing the healer or the support.
Nice. Yes, same.
Yeah, I find a great deal of satisfaction in that role because it's always different. Like DPSing is fun and all, but you get your rotation and like you press the same buttons. Whereas as the healer, it is always different. No matter what content you're running, people take damage in different places. Things happen, things go wrong, and you have to be able to react and save the day. And in that, I always know that I'm doing well because the team's up, the team's alive,
everyone's
the team's doing
alive.
the things they should be doing. Yeah.
Or if they're
There's that
down,
very
you
immediate-
battle res them, you know? It's like
Yes, yeah. There's that immediate feedback. You know, if people go down, something's gone wrong, you need to fix it. And there's a lot of stress there sometimes, but it does have that very immediate satisfaction that I enjoy, that sense of control of like, I make this work.
Exactly. And you're not, you know, paying attention to mechanics, I'm not gonna give you a heal then. You want to step in bad, that's fine, but don't expect to heal. You know, it's like you do kind of have that kind of power, right? That's what, and like in our, for me, an example, like we're doing like the expert dungeons and I'm still learning them. So there are times when, you know, it's so chaotic and we're in Discord like with hubby and our friends, and I'm like, you guys better keep yourself alive because I don't even know what's going on right now. I'm running around. So for the next like couple seconds, you know, you need to not take any damage. You know, it's like do what you can because I am not gonna be healing. Just letting you know I'm not healing right now because I'm just trying to not die myself. But so yeah, healing is stressful like that. Yeah.
One. Absolutely. I remember feeling that in Final Fantasy XIV as well. It was like, I need to be watching the health bars, but I also need to be watching the floor.
Yes, and what is the boss doing and stuff like that. But I have a question though. In Guild Wars 2, since there's no specific healer role, like no, like, you know, the Trinity and stuff. How do the dungeons and stuff? Yeah.
That's a great question, and it's something I am still struggling with as someone who enjoys that more typical healer experience of like press button and green number goes up, you know, satisfying, someone's at full health. Guild Wars 2 is very different, and it definitely doesn't bring the same satisfaction in that healer role. So I've kind of had to readjust my expectations and find my satisfaction elsewhere. So to set the stage, Guild Wars 2, when it released, was essentially role-less. They didn't want the Holy Trinity. There's no tank, there's no specific healer. Everyone DPSs and everyone needs to move out of the damage, dodge attacks, etc., etc. But as the game has evolved, people want that in a way. You know? So there have been roles that have been enabled by new design. So after release, with new expansions, there was something called elite specs for each class, which is very cool. You've got 9 classes. They technically have like heavy armor, medium armor, light armor. It doesn't mean that much. Some are a little more survivable than others. But within each class, then, you've got 3 elite specializations once you reach max level. And those can drastically change how you play the class. And some of them allow for more niche role specialization.
Okay.
So almost every single class has their kind of support specialization in a way. But the healing isn't targeted healing. For the most part, you're doing it in an AoE around you. You are granting buffs, which are called boons, in an AoE around you. And if you are the healer, you're actually you're what's called a boon support. You're there to offer the powerful buffs and boons and some healing. But if someone's off in the corner over there, good luck, have fun.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to affect that. So it's a very different style. There's some really powerful boons you can grant, like Aegis blocks an attack. Stability prevents you from being CC'd. Alacrity increases your alacrity reduces your cooldowns. So that's super powerful for people to be bringing.
Mm-hmm.
Quickness increases your attack speed. That's super powerful for people to be bringing.
So
And
not one support character has all this. It's spread out amongst different characters.
it's a little spread out. One boon support is kind of expected to be able to bring CC. They have to break bosses' CC bars, break bars, to be able to stun them. So you have to bring good CC. You have to bring some regeneration. That's your healing over time. You have to bring some burst healing. If you're bringing kind of damage buffs, crit buffs, that's nice. But you have to be bringing either alacrity or quickness, and no one can bring both. So yeah, it's really interesting. And there's no dedicated tank usually. Some raids require you to have higher toughness because that's what aggro is based on.
Okay.
But there's no actual tanking or aggro mechanics for the most part. So you have like one heal boon support and you have one boon DPS. So that'll be a DPS who can bring that other essential boon between alacrity and quickness. They aren't really there for the healing. They're bringing that essential boon and then DPSing.
Gotcha.
So it's a really different role setup. And even our group, our MMO little group, is struggling to adapt. We kind of go, if someone's putting out some healing, it's okay. We'll manage.
Yeah,
it's tough. But what about yourself, Calyx? Is there other things that kind of bring you joy in MMOs?
like you, I do need some kind of story. Like you said, like why am I playing this? But ultimately, in the end, like so, the story only takes me so far, right? And then so the end game is kind of what I guess interests me and holds my attention. Doing the harder content, doing the raids, trying to down the bosses. I love it because especially in Final Fantasy, I feel like the bosses, the like the extremes, we haven't done like we did some raids, but the extremes were our first like current content, hard content. It's almost like a dance. It's almost like you move here, you move there, and then you do this. It's like, whereas in like, I never felt like that in WoW. Like I didn't feel like it was a dance. Like you move where you have to, but this has more flow and more like intention. Like, they have like they expect. I don't know. It's kind of hard for me to articulate it, but it's a different feeling. But it's still, you're doing hard content, and I love challenging content. I love progression. For me, I love progression. It could be like collecting the shinies, that's progression, right? It could be just getting my character to max level. That's any kind of progression I'm all for. So it doesn't take much, but I do love the harder content. So that's kind of what brings me joy.
Yeah, I understand. When you're mentioning the whole dance feeling of Final Fantasy, I understand exactly what you're talking about.
Great.
And sometimes I really miss that in Guild Wars. For all the great things Guild Wars does, I haven't found that same satisfaction in the group content. Because Final Fantasy is just so good at it, and your first taste of it is only at the end of the base game story. In those like capstone fights. And I remember that was the first time where afterwards I went, that was so much fun.
Yes.
Because you have AoEs that you need to move out of, and then almost immediately something else is happening. So you move, and you're constantly like trying to find a moment where you can channel, for me especially as a caster class usually, find your spot where you can stop, do your casts, and then you're moving again. And it's like,
it's coordinated movement. Everybody has to move here, move there, and it's seriously, to me, it's like it's just like a flowing dance. And so I
there's a rhythm to it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and it feels great. And sometimes you can't wait to see the marker on the floor. You have to actually be watching what's going on around the room, because if you only wait for the floor marker, you do not have time to move.
Exactly. Yes, you understand.
Yeah, and so there's this feeling of rhythm outside of just press the buttons, which is very satisfying. And I think it's probably hard to get that across without having played that.
Yes, exactly. But I'm glad you understand. I'm like, I can't really explain it, but you understand, so that's all good. Speaking of like raids and like the harder content though, like I know we kind of touched upon it before recording this, but blind prog versus looking up guides, like what's your preference?
I normally love to go in blind, but it's a really stressful experience. It's always stressful, especially in harder content like raids or bigger groups, and especially if it's not new content. Because if you are going in blind with a pickup group, a pug, random people, you will almost always have someone who's an absolute ass. And if you're already doing terribly and struggling and being like, what is going on? Some rando being like, why can't you play this, you absolute moron?
Yeah, exactly. Do you even know how to play your class? Yeah, it's like, exactly. Yeah. Oh gosh, yeah, I know. One time, I have to say this real quick. One time we were in Final Fantasy. This was like the previous expansion we were doing. We were going back and doing old content for, mount drops, achievements, and stuff like that. And the three of us, we were going in as a pre-made and then, going through the group finder to pick up the randos. But then some person comes when he joined, he's like, why are you guys doing this the hard way? Because we did it synced. If you go unsynced, you're at your max level and then you can just crush it within a couple minutes. But we decided to do it synced so that, it's down to like that level of whatever that expansion was. And the guy's like, it's so much harder. And we're like, but we want to experience it. And he's like, you're never going to do it. You're never going to finish it. Blah, blah. And wouldn't you know, that next fight, we did it. We cleared the boss. And it was such an amazing feeling. We're like, freaking like doubting us. It's like we're having fun, just because, whatever. It's like, we made this group. You feel free to leave. It's okay. But this is how we want to play it, type of thing. But yeah, so I understand that. Doing old content, people have this expectation, like, do it fast. Everyone should know what's going on, and it's like, Can we just play the game how we want to play and just enjoy it? It's like it's our first time.
I have many stories in that vein, but my most immediate one that I keep remembering because it's recent was we were still very new to Guild Wars 2. I say that like we aren't still, but like leveling our first character a few months ago, and hit our first dungeon. And boy, oh boy, Guild Wars 2, your first dungeon is not friendly. It's kind of terrible. So the first dungeon is the Catacombs of Ascalon. And it is filled with traps the whole way through. Anyway, so me, Hemi, and one friend, we're like, okay, we'll fill in the 2 additional slots. We made very clear in the group finder we were new. We're going to be learning. Anyway, so we get one also new person in and one max level person in. And we're like, oh, cool. If there's anything we need to know, please let us know. And this max level person just zoomed off. And we're like, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Cool, whatever. We'll go through. We'll figure it out. And we're getting stunned left, right, and center. The ads are murdering us. And then we get to this one room. In fact, there are multiple rooms that are just trapped to the nines. But the specific one I'm remembering has fire traps kind of all over. Fire traps at the door, fire traps up on the walls, fire traps in all the shadowy little corners. So it doesn't look like anything. They look like just stone, like wolf heads on the walls, or gargoyle heads or whatever. And you run through the first door one. The door one can't be attacked. So you go, okay, we just have to run in quickly. And then you start getting hit from one direction, hit from another direction, and you're like, I'm dead. What happened? And this high-level player clearly didn't seem to know what to do either, but they'd like zoomed off way ahead of us, and they'd died somewhere else. So,
oh my goodness, what an experience!
We're all just flabbergasted, dead as a doornail, and you have to wait till everyone's like fully dead. You first go into a down state, and then you have to take a bit more damage before you die, and that's the period someone can resurrect you in. But we're all down, and you just have to sit there waiting. and waiting. And if one person is alive, like the stupid high-level player was running around doing their thing, you can't resurrect. You can't like go to a waypoint. You can't do anything.
Yeah, come on.
And it was so frustrating. Then we got to the same room. We didn't know where all the traps were. So at first we were like, oh, okay, we see one on the wall there. Let's attack that. And we go a little bit further in and we're dead again because we didn't know where the other traps were. Yeah. You also need ranged weapons. Some people didn't have ranged weapons. It was one of those things that was miserable to try to figure out. Even worse because you had one person who just was not participating.
Exactly. It's like they know better or they don't want to help or something. And it's like, yeah, come on, guy. Come on, guy. Just trying to have some fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and sorry, I know we're running over time, but
that's fine.
We actually did a dungeon last night that was a lot of fun because we were all together in our pre-made group. But afterwards we went, there is not a chance in hell I would do that with a group of randoms. Oh, because it had this whole section where you have to pick up a cursed orb, and the cursed orb does a lot of damage to you very quickly. So what you have to do is you have to throw it along, like daisy chaining it from one person to another person, and then put it in the final little holder. The first room was fairly easy, very short. You could do one little daisy chain, no problem. I think there was then a second one. And then there was a third one that was so long. It was like a huge corridor. So you had to do your first daisy chain. You had to then run to your next spot, run to your next spot, run to your next spot.
That's some coordination though, huh?
So much coordination. And the throwing of it, you had to be so precise. And like if one person moves, you're going to mess up your throw because it's quite delayed. Anyway, it took us about 6-7 tries.
Woo!
And we were all getting frustrated. We're like, no, we can do this. We can do this. But I can't imagine trying to coordinate that with randoms.
Yeah, especially because you guys are probably in Discord or something talking about it too, right? Yeah, imagine, having
it's like, okay.
You have to type it all out if you want to.
Okay, this is our order. You run, you run. Okay, go. I'm throwing to this person. Is the next person in line? But without being able to communicate that, I cannot imagine like going through for the first time with random people.
But you guys figured it out, though, it sounds like, and you moved on, and it's a lot of fun, right? Like trying to figure it out. Yes, exactly. That's
proud of us.
Like, yes, exactly. It's such a good feeling when you go in, you don't know, and then you conquer it. It's like it's really great feeling. So I hope more people get to enjoy it too, and not ruin the fun. Yeah. But yes, as you mentioned, we're running out of time for this episode, but we have a lot to talk about still with MMOs. And most likely we are both going to be playing MMOs next month. So we will continue this conversation next month. We have more to talk about. We want to talk about like encountering toxic players, are mods necessary when playing MMOs. So we'll get all into that next week.
Sounds good.
Excellent. So we're gonna wrap it up for episode 7. This will be part 1 because guess what, guys? We're gonna do a part 2 called Real Talk, and we'll talk about that right after this episode. So check that one out. But for those that want to catch us outside of Girls That Game Flute, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitch and YouTube at featuringFlewt. I'm also on TikTok at ft_flute. And the Girls That Game are on Spotify if you prefer to do your listening without any data drain on the go.
Perfect. I'm AlteredCalyx. You can find me on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter/X, under AlteredCalyx. And that's it for us. Thank you for tuning in for this episode of Girls That Game. Don't forget to catch part 2 where we go into real talk about pay to win and pay for convenience. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.